All right, Thrive Nation, today we are broadcasting from the Thrive Time Show 2-day interactive in-person workshop. And what we're going to be doing here on today's show is we're going to be interviewing Justin Wren, the MMA fighter, and a man by the name of Jeremy Schulz. And Jeremy Schulz has decided to walk across the nation. Yep, he's decided to walk across the United States to raise attention and awareness for an organization called fightfortheforgotten.org. What's fightfortheforgotten.org? Well, check it out. It's fightfortheforgotten.org. And it is an organization that Joe Rogan, the podcast host, is so fired up about, so passionate about, that he has actually asked Justin Wren, the founder of fightfortheforgotten.org, to be on his podcast now, I believe 7 times, soon to be an 8th appearance for Justin Wren. So check out fightfortheforgotten.org. That's fightfortheforgotten.org.
Some shows don't need a celebrity narrator to introduce the show, but this show does. 2 men, 8 kids, co-created by 2 different women, 13 multi-million-dollar businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Thrive Time Show.
Now, 3, 2, 1, here we go!
Started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here. Started from the bottom, now we
Yes, and yes. Thrive Nation, it is a very special occasion because on today's show, we are recording today's show on the day of a Thrive Time Show conference. And in the studio right now, we have a man with a plan to walk across America in 112 days for charity, and for a specific charity. And so, Jeremy Schulz, welcome onto the Thrive Time Show, my friend. How are you?
Oh, dude, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Hey, you have walked, I believe, 1,200 miles so far. Is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, 1,200 miles in 111 days.
Now, most people who are walking that far, my understanding is that within about 400 miles, people start to get injured, they have fatigue, they kind of quit, I guess,
Yep.
or they run out of juice. What has you motivated, and what is the charity that you are walking for?
Well, is what has me motivated is same answer for both is to raise money and awareness for anti-bullying for Fight for the Forgotten, Justin Wren's foundation.
Now, Fight for the Forgotten, I'd like to know, how did you, Justin, first connect with Jeremy? How did you, you're an MMA guy. I first heard of you through the Joe Rogan podcast. How did you guys hear about each other?
So Jeremy reached out to us through our email. My wife was the one that got the email and was saying that Jeremy, a professional drummer who has his own professional drum school, who even taught at the prestigious Seattle Drum School for a decade, he wants to walk across America for Fight for the Forgotten. Like, he wants a call, and it just blew me away. This guy wants to do this for us. I mean, that's wild. So our first conversation was supposed to be about 20 minutes scheduled for that. And it maybe ended up being over an hour and a half. I don't know. It was wild. We were on a road trip.
So you heard about Justin through, how did you hear about Justin now?
Well, obviously through the Joe Rogan show, you know.
That's how you heard about Justin, through the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yep.
Now, what's so cool about this is Joe Rogan has millions and millions of downloads, and he's had big guests on there like Elon Musk. Mm-hmm. How did Joe Rogan first hear about you? How did that happen?
Well, I was on the Ultimate Fighter reality TV show. He's a huge MMA fanatic, so he's commentated my fights, and then we connected after that, and he heard what I was doing and going to the Congo. And honestly, I think the fans were giving him heads up, but also he just reached out and said, bro, let's cover this story. That was back in 2012 or 13, my first time on the show, and which just kind of documented the progress and the history since then, 7 different times. Going to go back on in probably September. He's throwing a big charity benefit comedy show and musical acts in December of this year. And we're just so grateful for him, his partnership. He's the real deal, and has given us a platform to share our mission and vision. So it's been incredible.
I want to hear more, Jeremy, about your story, because the listeners out there, I think we need to make sure the listeners know what the Fight for Forgotten cause is all about. And I think we need to know your history a little bit. So I'm going to start with you, Justin, and we'll flip it over here to Jeremy. What is the Fight for the Forgotten? The Fight for theforgotten.org. Again, fightfortheforgotten.org. What is that charity, that cause all about?
Yeah, so we are focused in 2 areas. It's one mission, 2 initiatives. But we want to defeat hate with love, and we want to knock out bullying worldwide. But we are focused on the most bullied people group in the world, the Pygmy people in the Congo Basin rainforest, which is in eastern Congo where we worked since 2011. But we're in Uganda now with the Batwa Pygmies in western Uganda. But then here stateside, we have a bully prevention curriculum for our own neighborhoods. We're starting in martial arts academies, but we want, and what Jeremy is supporting, is walking across for our Heroes in Waiting curriculum, our bully prevention character development program. And we are, hoping to get that in public and private schools, online schools, and just have resources here for kids that are bullied.
Wow. Yeah, Jeremy, before you teamed up with Justin, you've obviously had your own career. Walk us through what was your first job out of high school? What were you doing?
Oh man, first job. Let me see. Probably washing cars. I grew up in a small town, Redding, California. And so I'd and it's super hot there. So wash cars and pretty much work at a grocery store.
Now, what did you do after that? After you worked at the grocery store washing cars, tell us about your career.
Okay. Well, I bailed up. I put my drums in the back of my truck, bailed up to Seattle right around 1996.
Yeah.
And I went up there with one purpose only. That is to in my career, I started playing drums at 9 years old. So I went up there. That was in the 90s, right? So all my heroes were up there.
Yeah.
And I got in a touring band. And
Are you pretty good?
I mean,
Yes, toward
whatever.
nationally.
Before you
I'll talk
leave,
about
will
Jim.
you do a drum solo on our drum set for the conference attendees before you leave?
Oh, that would be awesome.
Could you do that?
I don't know.
Oh,
We'll
Oh,
see.
bro, you should.
Okay.
You should.
Okay.
One thing I want to just speak up on
Yeah,
is
sure.
Jeremy's story is pretty incredible. Share a little bit about the struggle you had maybe growing up getting bullied, some of the challenges, and how drumming helped you.
The reason how I even started playing drums, was my whole life I've dealt with Tourette and stuttering, right?
Okay.
So and it was very, very extreme. I still battle with it, but it's very controlled right now.
Yeah.
But my mom got me a drum set when I was 9, and I would come home from school. I couldn't really have conversations, because I'd be like stuttering and kicking the back of my feet and my head twitching and stuff. So I would sit behind my drums and I would pretend like the snare drum was my I was the snare drum. The toms were the toms were other people, and I just have pretend conversations like, hey, how you doing, blah. And that was that way for years.
Wow.
And then by the time I got to high school, it was by the time I got to high school, that's when I found out the girls like guys in bands, and so I started taking music serious, and then I got into that, and then so like I said, I got up to Seattle, and I couldn't figure out how to make money being in the music business.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I stuttered a lot till I was 13.
Yeah.
And I think that pretty much the vast majority of people were unbelievably mean to me. And that's why Justin's story connected with me so much. Were people mean to you because of your stuttering and your Tourette's? Were they mean, or how were you treated?
Yeah, pretty much. That's why the whole bullying. I mean, imagine 80s and 90s. I had hair halfway down my back, as long as Justin's, and 2 earrings, and was twitchy and special ed. Dude, that was before internet, obviously, right? So people didn't know how to deal with it. And I remember when I was in high school, I had in my senior year I was 19 because I had straight Fs. And my high school the principal was like, yo, man, you're still going to graduate because we're not going to have a 20-year-old senior here. Like, not going to happen, right?
Right.
So, so it was more of I was never given a chance, right? It was just kind of, back then they just kind of swept it under the rug.
People wrote you off.
Yeah.
The owner of the Seattle Drum School, my understanding is that he took an interest in you and decided to take you under his wing and mentor you. What kind of impact did he have in your life, and how did you meet him?
Yeah, so he ultimately changed the whole trajectory of my life. I was like in my late 20s, early 30s. I was already studying at the Seattle Drum School, and Steve Smith was like, yo, man, we don't have any rock and roll guys here. They're all like, jazz, Berkeley grad guys. And he goes, so you're going to teach here? And I'm like, and I told him, no way, dude, because I can't read music and I can't. And he was the first person that told me to start telling myself a different story. Get past it, right? He's like, yes, you can. So he mentored me. Fast forward a year or so later, I was able to chart entire albums, entire songs. I'm teaching. So I taught it, and then he gave me the job at the drum school. I ended up teaching for a decade there.
And then you started your own brick and mortar drum school too, right?
Yeah, I had that for a few years up until a divorce, and then I moved everything up online.
And so now it's all online.
Online, yeah. I have online drum school, and I do Skype and FaceTime lessons to students all over the world. But the even cooler is I have a teacher training program where I train other musicians, primarily drummers, on how to be able to do what I do. And it's good because nobody knows how to make a living in the music industry. So like if you're on tour, imagine, charging $60-$70 an hour, and you show up to the venue early and you can do 4 or 5 drum lessons and you're making more than anybody else on tour.
So what's your website for that? If people want, there's got to be listeners out there that have kids in drum lessons, and my son plays drums. What's the website we can go to?
Beats from the Core, CORE.
Beats from the Core.
Yeah, Beats from the Core, just like drum beats. Beats from the Core.
What does the core mean?
Like drum corps.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
This just in, folks. This just in. Drum corps. This just in. Now, you've been walking across America. I'm sure you've had some challenges. Maybe rain. I don't know what kind of weather conditions. Maybe bugs. What's the biggest adversity you faced thus far?
Oh man, the biggest adversity, is just the mental mindset of not giving up. Dude, I started at the Brooklyn Bridge, walked up to Niagara Falls, and now I'm here in Oklahoma. And in that time, I've fallen off of probably 30-40 foot cliff.
Why? How?
This is funny.
Okay, well, I'll give you the family version.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah. I was in Pennsylvania and I stepped over a guardrail.
And you're going up and down the Catskill Mountains in rain.
Yeah.
Why'd you go over the guardrail?
Because I had to pee, right? So.
This just in.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Thank you. Yeah. So I stepped over the guardrail, and I was only a couple of weeks in, so I still wasn't used to my pack load.
Yeah.
And as I'm peeing, the blacktop asphalt gave out, and then
I've got an audio of what I think you were thinking as you're taking the leak.
Yes.
And the collapse. This is audio clip. I talked to Devin earlier, and I said, Devin, is this the right audio clip? And he said, probably not, but we need to go with it. So I'm going to cue it up. Did you tell me if this is how you felt, or this is what you were saying as you fell down? It's really embarrassing that we would mic you without your permission and for it to be exposed like this.
Okay.
But let me cue it up here. Here we go. Is that you falling down? Is that you falling down?
That was exactly it.
Oh, man, that had to hurt.
Yeah, man. Well, yeah, luckily, I mean, I was banged up, but, luckily I didn't break anything,
Yeah.
And so, like, I've fallen down that. I got caught in a flood that took half my gear away. Almost died on that. The Ohio River snapped a bridge, and my tent was already set up. I got caught in 2 different lightning storms. One that hit a tree right in front of me. Another one I had to sleep underneath of a bridge.
Any animals?
Yeah, I was. Oh God, dude! Again in Pennsylvania, I was walking in these back roads, and like the nearest town was like 2 days away. So I had to take my machete and I hacked in to the forest. I set up and maybe about 3 hours into going into sleep, I woke up and there was coyotes surrounding my tent, signal barking.
Now, so there's not like a film crew that's going around with you. You're out there by yourself solo.
Yeah, but I'm posting every day on my
But
social
this isn't
media.
like reality TV where it's like, oh, we're going to go walk through the woods and then technically we're going to sleep in a trailer tonight. You're actually out there by yourself?
And to Jeremy's credit, most people that do this, that complete it, they have a team of support, a van, a truck, an RV, a team that's feeding them, monitoring them. They get to sleep in comfortable conditions. He is out there in the wilderness and sleeping in a tent, and he is doing this and it's wild.
Now we have a lot of listeners who have flown here from Guam. We've had we got one guy coming from Australia. You got Canada. We got people from Texas. I mean, just all over the world. And I think you're the first one to walk here.
Yeah, I was going to say
you're
that. From the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
Very
man.
passionate. Now,
Right
okay,
on.
so Justin, you guys decided to team up.
Yeah.
And I would just like for you to share what's it like to work with this guy? I mean, how much is it impacting what you're doing, and why is he such a valuable asset, I guess, to the Fight for the Forgotten?
Well, it's raised a ton of awareness for us from news in New York to here in Oklahoma, being on Fox, OKC, and Telemundo. And I think tomorrow, at least Saturday or Sunday, the Oklahoman's going to feature him potentially on the front page. So raising awareness has been incredible. He's also been collecting stories all along the way of people who connect with him. And I think it's been really cool to watch and hear about walls coming down. Maybe people see you're a muscled up, tattooed up rocker dude with a big beard now. And so you've had these encounters with people, and then you've seen and had this human connection with them, specifically about bullying.
I'm going to describe you in the most candid way possible.
Okay.
And then you can describe what it's like to be at this conference. We'll do that, okay?
Okay.
Because when you first walked in, I'm sure you're thinking, uh-oh, or something. I don't know. I'm sure you thought. So you tell me what you first thought when I saw, and I'll tell you what I think. And I look at Jeremy here, and some of you need to go online and Google Jeremy Schulz. That's S-C-U-L-Z.
No, S-C-H.
S-C-H, sorry, S-C-H-U-L-Z, S-C-H-U-L-Z. You have a few tattoos. How many tattoos do you have? You have one?
Yeah. It's all, no, collectively, I got all of this and then the one on my leg. So that'd be 2.
Do you have, I mean, seriously, is it like maybe dozens of tattoos? I mean, you got
They're
the
all
tattoos.
connected all over.
Yeah.
And you got a big beard. It's like, it's kind of like you could be Santa Claus if you wanted to be.
He does.
You got a hat you got on backwards.
Yeah.
You look like a drummer. You look like a drummer. You kind of you got the bald look going, but the bald with the beard. That's a beautiful
right.
look.
That's right.
I would
Thank
do
you.
that if I could,
Thank
but
you.
I can't grow a beard. I look like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. But that's kind of how I would. Am I missing something? Is that the accurate
that's
visual
accurate.
Yeah.
description? Now, how would you describe when you walked into the Thrive Time Show conference what it kind of looked like to you?
Just looked like a bunch of business leaders. Definitely more of a conservative crowd. That's what it looked like to me. I mean, I've been to business conferences before, so.
How would you describe the mojo in here, Justin? Because we have a lot of listeners
Man,
who listen to the shows but don't
Man,
come to the
if they
conferences.
haven't been here, this is my first time to attend and be part of the conference. I got to speak once, but I was in and out. And I love the energy. I love what we're learning. I'm eating it up. We need this for us and our nonprofit. But everyone's so giving in their, you guys are serving us so well with all the information you're sharing and guidance and wisdom. So, man, I've been blown away. And we're only halfway into the first day. So it's been incredibly valuable to us. And
It's incredibly hands-on.
It's really
Practical.
designed to be very
Incredibly
practical.
Very practical.
Try not to get too deep. Now I want to get deep, and it might take the show to a weird place.
Yeah.
It might take us to a great place or a bad place. I don't know. But, I mean, you've had to have had some powerful stories that you've heard along the way. As you're traveling, a guy who dealt with bullying, as a kid with Tourette's and stuttering.
Yeah.
Justin, you've been on this journey. Can you tell us, Jeremy, what are some of the most impactful stories you've heard so far as you're raising awareness for this cause, Fight for the Forgotten?
Well, first of all, I knew that this was a big deal, and I didn't anticipate that it was at the magnitude that it is. This bullying thing, two that comes to mind really quick. I'll just share these really quick.
Yeah.
I've got dozens, but when I was in Ohio, I sat down at a coffee shop with the mom and dad of a 12-year-old girl who hung herself, and when you think that, it's I think a lot of people you could automatically in your mind think maybe think like, oh man, is that bad parenting? Is that what I mean? They were put together. They were when I was talking out to the dad, he said that he literally did not know because of how much of the online bullying. So like she never said anything, and so that was really heart-wrenching. There were some tears and some hugs, and then
because of the online bullying,
Yeah.
She never said anything.
Yeah. Because she, she didn't want it to get worse.
See, this is interesting. This is
She didn't
interesting
want it
and
to
not
get
good
worse.
interesting, but this is a thought. Some of you out there listening have kids. And when you have kids, it's incumbent upon us as parents to learn from these stories and to realize, when your kid's connected to a smartphone, they're connected to the world. I've seen some of my clients. They have 13-year-old kids, 14-year-old sons and daughters. They'll post a picture with the basketball team, and then someone will write, "I bet you lost because you're fat," on the comments.
man.
And I had one of my clients go, "How do you handle that?" And I was like, "You got to get your kids off of the social media." My take. This is how me. This is practical as a parent. Get them off of that thing or monitor that thing like a hawk. But or both. But it's just so important because you guys are so proactive about this thing. Justin, what advice would you have for somebody out there who's dealing with the bullying thing right now? Personally, they're listening right now, and somebody is bullying their business, saying their business sucks, you suck, or bullying their kid, or what advice would you have? Because you dealt with bullying.
Yeah, I did, and like a lot of the kids, I would skip school. There's 180,000 kids that skip school every day because they're being bullied.
Wow.
And that's Monday through Friday. That's 3 million school days a month that are lost because kids in teen addiction, depression, suicide is all through the roof. I think it's the number 2 reason of death between ages 10 to 14 or something like that.
And I will say this, the life, and Chip, let's put it on the show notes, but this is the last 2 years have been the first time in American history that the life expectancy of the average person is going down.
Yeah.
And it's because of all these teenagers who are killing themselves.
And I
brutal.
think people need to know that, one, a lot of these things are lies being spoken of you over you, and you don't have to accept that as truth. I personally sometimes pray over myself, man, God, let me have tough skin but keep a soft heart, and not let the words that people are saying, penetrate through. But to a parent especially, man, I think, yes, you have to monitor it like a hawk or keep it out of their hands until they're at an appropriate age, 14, 15, 16, maybe even older.
85.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I stay off of that thing because I'm telling you, I own
it's brutal.
businesses.
It's brutal.
And we let me tell you what, this is the key to being profitable if you cut hair for a living. We want to do a good job.
Yeah.
This just in from our home office. When we are cutting your hair at Elephant in the Room, we want to do a good job. My buddy with OxyFresh, the carpet cleaning business, he knows the key to success is doing a great job.
Right.
But a lot of people, when you mess up, we all do. Even if you're a great free throw shooter and you shoot the ball, 95% of the time, like a Steph Curry, people can go online and just rip you for the one time you missed the shot in the big game or the one time you messed up their haircut or whatever. So I just stay off of that thing entirely because you want to talk about ruining my day, it's go on social media and read what people are saying about me.
Right.
It's got to put those boundaries out there.
Yeah, and I think it's important one of the reasons Jeremy's walking across this is our curriculum is based to empower people to put compassion and empathy in action in a way that Heroes in Waiting basically says, we're all heroes in waiting, able to make a difference. And so when we see a need, let's take action. And no act of kindness, no matter how small, ever goes wasted. And to me, Jeremy's a hero walking across America for the cause, connecting with these parents, even a parent here from Tulsa. But yeah, I think kids need to know if parents let their child listen to this, I would say that be empowered that your voice matters and that you have a voice. And so bullying, specifically when it's taking place, if you see it happening, if you hear it happening, you're actually now involved. Even though you didn't choose it, you're presented with a choice to either take action or to do nothing. And what people need to know is that when you stand up and you say something, I believe the statistic is 87% of the time bullying stops within the first 5 or 10 seconds. And so you can say something as for somebody else on their behalf, that it's something as small as, hey, that's not kind. Because whenever you're silent, the bully actually takes that as silent support. You're being a silent supporter. And so you actually are involved, even though you didn't choose it, it chose you. And invite people into your circle and bring them over and sit by you at the lunch table if you see someone sitting alone. And then I think what Jeremy's doing is great. Like heroes can take small actions, and they have humble hearts. They don't need a cape, supernatural power, superhuman strength. But what Jeremy's doing is something remarkable, and it's bringing a lot of attention to the cause. Even he has a huge goal to raise $250,000 on our behalf. There's going to be a lot of media whenever we get to Redding and California.
Right.
A huge crowd's going to be walking with us. Our Fight for the Forgotten team, at least me and probably Matthew, will be there to celebrate with him when he finishes in October, which is National Bully Prevention Month.
Right.
And so to have that exposure during the month of October. And Jeremy, if it's okay, real quick,
Yeah.
I do want you to share a little bit about the Tulsa mother.
Yeah. I was going to say another really incredible thing that's you guys have this legend here. So when I walked into Tulsa, I met this lady named September Brooks Brown, and her son was bullied all through high school, and he ended up not going to school like the last year of his life, and then he got diagnosed with leukemia at 14, and it was the aggressive kind of leukemia, and he died within 6 months. And like kids would like snap, they used to like snap his pencil and all that. And it was his story. His mom gave me permission to tell his story, and it's pretty heartbreaking because there wasn't a lot of redemption. He got these kids really tormented him. He got sick. He loved drums, but he also loved rockets. And so he asked the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He's like, I want to be an astronaut. And they're like, well, you're too sick. So they would give him these rockets, and they would launch it off. And so he died. And then his mom, September, she went and she got him. She buried him, and she got him cremated. And they put him on a rocket, and they launched him out into space, and he is the first Oklahoman to be buried in space, and he orbits the Earth every 97 minutes for the next 57 years.
I have a word of encouragement I'd like to give the listeners out there. That's such a powerful story, and I think if you I don't want to like really make this a show where I'm just forcing my religious views on you, but maybe this will give you the encouragement you need. Matthew 5:10 is a Bible verse that I only think of every day. I only think about this every single day, and I only think about it probably every hour. But it says, "Blessed are those who are persecuted for their righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." So I have to believe that this young man, what is his name?
Gregory.
I have to believe that Gregory was persecuted. Remember, righteousness just means being right or in integrity or just and so there's people out there that are being persecuted. You might not see there's a justice in that, but right. I do believe that verse rings true because he will be blessed because of his righteousness. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So for him, I think he inherits the kingdom of heaven. And I believe that. And I think if you're up in space going fast, you're probably closer to heaven. I'm not sure where heaven is exactly, but he's probably closer.
If anybody wants to see his memorial, it's at the Museum of Flight here in Tulsa.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. And Jim Bridenstine, the head of NASA, used to run that museum, and we've had him on the show too.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to see it.
He has a big display up there. His mom, I was here in Tulsa, and his mom took me to it, and it is a fantastic story and all that. And I write about his story in depth on my Instagram.
Well, what we're going to do is we have to get back to this conference here. Yeah. And I want to give you, Justin, the floor to encourage our listeners. If the listeners are out there and they just want to take one action step, maybe they can only go to one website or do one thing, or, because we got a lot going on. Yeah. But they're saying, I want to do something, just one thing. What's the one thing that you'd like for all of our listeners to do?
Well, you could always go to our website, fightfortheforgotten.org. But right now, I would like to point people to Jeremy's GoFundMe, his walk across America for Beats from the Core.
Right. The GoFundMe is actually Beats for a Cause.
Oh, Beats for a Cause.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's his charitable side of his drumming business and his drum school. And it's Beats for a Cause.
Walk Across America.
Walk Across America. Yep. And you can support him. His goal is $250,000. You could give there, and it will go to bullying prevention and character development through Fight for the Forgotten. And I know you said one action step, but
Yeah.
but if you want to support Jeremy and his walk, there is like a PayPal link that you can help buy him a coffee or a hotel while he's walking across America instead of sleeping in the tent. And he's going through. I just want to commend you, Jeremy, because you are walking through the Catskill Mountains, 3 days of rain, and you are in now the Oklahoma heat, 100 degrees, and you've been
I
eaten
walked
up by
out of my car,
mosquitoes.
and there was like just a little bit of precipitation this morning. I got wet. So if you guys don't want to donate to him, you can support me. I got wet. I went through a little bit of adversity.
Right.
Well, seriously, this is crazy what this guy's doing. If you're out there listening today and you're not a knucklehead, say you're a knucklehead, don't do this. But if you're not a knucklehead, go to GoFundMe, look him up there. It's, again, just do a Google search for Beats for a Cause, Walk Across America. If you're not a knucklehead, and just do $5. You know you're going to buy something you regret at Taco Bueno or Taco Bell or Quick Trip. They're going to say, would you like something else? And you're going to look around scanning going, I probably shouldn't, but I'll get a burrito and a coffee, and I'll get an energy shot, and let me have some licorice. You know what you're going to do. You're going to do that. So can we all just agree to forego some regrettable purchase? Can we just say, okay, I'm not going to supersize my sundae or my French fries. Maybe we get thinner, too, but let's go ahead and let's at least do $5. Let's check them out today. Just do a search for Beats for a Cause, Walk Across America. Check them out. And, guys, we like to end each and every show with a boom, which stands for big, overwhelming, optimistic momentum. So if you're psychologically prepared, we'll do a little countdown, and then we'll do it, okay? So it'll be like 3, 2, 1, boom. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom! All right, Jason, before we wrap up today's show, I wanted you, because you're a coach and some of your clients are here at the conference, why do you feel like the conferences are so well received, and why do you feel like people travel all across America to attend an interactive 2-day workshop? I mean, it's not normal for people it's not normal behavior, this just in, for people to be traveling from anywhere to Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's not a normal thing, but people do it on a consistent basis. Why do you think your clients travel to the in-person Thrive Time Show workshops?
Well, traveling to any of the workshops takes commitment, and so the people who show up are usually the people who are the ones that are willing to implement, the ones who are willing to give it their all, and then to just, go out on a whim and try the system that's proven, but then also it gives them that tangible sense of reality. Like most people, it's like with the video testimonial, they want real world application, and that's what they're getting. And they get like 8 straight hours, 2 days straight of just nonstop.
What I have found it's really cool is that you'll have a current client,
Yeah.
sitting next to a current client.
Oh, I love that.
And one client is just starting in the program, and one has been in the program for like 5 years.
Right.
And and then someone in the middle, but there's like 3 seats, somebody at the other end of the aisle is kind of halfway through the program.
Oh, yeah.
And you're starting to see people go, oh, yeah, I had the same issue.
Mm-hmm.
Let me tell you what, I didn't want to do the group interview. But let me tell you, I've been doing it now, and let me tell you how it's impacted me.
Right.
Or, hey, I had the same pushback about getting writing content for my website, but man, let me tell you how it's impacted me. I think that's a powerful thing when your clients encourage other clients.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday we had Josh with Living Water.
Oh, I love Josh.
That shared his story. We had Aaron Antis with Shaw Homes. Again, just so you know, just to give you some context, Josh with Living Water has grown a company from basically a startup to he did $130,000 of sales a couple weeks ago, averaging like $50,000 a week of sales. Unbelievable. Then we had another guy. Again, he went from $0 to $132,000 of sales in a week.
That's insane.
And then he's averaging about $50,000 a week of sales. That's Living Water. That's Josh. LivingWaterIrrigation.org. And then there's Shaw Homes there. You got Aaron Antis. He sold over $850 million of new homes throughout his career.
That's not a small amount.
$850 million. His company last year alone did $64 million of new home sales. ShawHomes.com. He shared his story. Paul Hood with Hood CPAs was sharing about the construction of a 25,000 square foot house.
That thing is ridiculous.
That's crazy.
He's building a castle.
It's unbelievable. And I would just say all these people are real clients. We've really helped. And it's just fun when a client who's a startup gets to talk to a guy who's sold $64 million of home sales last year. It's
right.
great to have a struggling entrepreneur talk to an entrepreneur who's just winning. Mm-hmm. I just love that conversation. What else can people learn if they attend the in-person 2-day workshop?
Well, I mean, we literally go through the Boom Book in its entirety, so they can learn the whole program in the span of 2 days. And like you said, the main pushback you always get is we tell people you need to get Google reviews. And like Thomas said yesterday, well, that doesn't work in my industry. Networking does. What a better place to network than here, because you're not only talking to entrepreneurs, but you're talking to people who have grown and can show you the proven system that helped them grow.
And just to provide a little bit more context on that, Thomas Crossan owns a company called Full Package Media.
Shouts out to
and
Thomas.
Thomas was sharing yesterday about how in his industry, a lot of people say for real estate photography, it's important that real estate photographers invest their time networking as opposed to cold calling realtors.
Yep.
And he said over time he discovered that it turns out that cold calling realtors is a much better use of time than networking. But attending an event like this is a great way for him to network because the people here actually have a net worth, and therefore he can make some connections, whether it be banking relationships, legal relationships, accounting relationships. There's so many successful people all in one place. If you have yet to attend an in-person Thrive Time Show workshop, check it out today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. That's thrivetimeshow.com. Click on the conferences button and see when the next upcoming conference is going to happen.
Attend the world's best business workshop led by America's #1 business coach for free by subscribing on iTunes and leaving us an objective review. Claim your tickets by emailing us proof that you did it and your contact information to info@thrivetimeshow.com.